I just wanted to first start by showing this right here. This is my MRI that I had done maybe a year ago or so. Okay, let people take time to read that. This is all the paperwork I have for my medical records that I've been, for my back pain problem that I've been having since 2020. I've been dealing with a back pain problem. So this is my medical record. Most of the stuff that I've submitted to disability. And I am making this video recording right now, I guess, to kind of ask questions through YouTube for people, if anybody's been through this process or anybody could tell me anything or something that I possibly can do different with dealing with disability, kind of explain my situation that I got going on. And yeah, just I guess get some insight or clarification on things about the disability process and then just the system, just our governmental system and period, because sometimes I be feeling like it literally can fail you, trying to deal with these different entities within the government system. So I've been working since I was 16. Started off in fast food like most people, started off at Burger King, I believe was my first job. Then, hopped around to different jobs. And I'm just going to be all the way 100 about everything. Then I went after, when I graduated high school, I was working all through high school from the age of 14. Then when I turned 18, I joined the military, went to the Army. Was in the Army for, I want to say roughly about four years, maybe 5 years. Left out of the military. I had a one honorable discharge, and then my second discharge, which is dishonorable discharge. Like I said, I'm just going to be all the way 100. So during my first term, I served honorable. My second term was a dishonorable discharge for bad conduct. Just going to be for real. Then after that, like I went through the whole notion of after getting out the military, getting back on my feet. So I went to school, did a lot of vocational training. Then I got a associate's degree in warehouse management. Went to barber school. Got all the credit hours I needed to be a barber. Never went and took the test because I felt like I didn't really want to, pursue a long-term career in barbering. But I did have all the hours, I completed the program basically and just didn't ever go do the state test exam to get fully licensed as a barber. But it's something that I always did on the side, like cutting hair. So, but one day I just out of the blue was like, you know what, I don't really want to, do that as a full-time career. So I chose to jump into truck driving. And then around, I think in 2012, I went and got my CDL through CR England. Started driving for that company. I was with that company for about a year. Then after CR England, after I did that for about a year and a half, driving OTR, I switched over to a local company in the St. Louis area, but he wasn't. He had local trucks, but I did a lot of regional. So I went from OTR to regional, doing a lot of regional runs, from Indiana to Chicago, Kansas, where else? Iowa. Just like in the Midwest region, just a lot of these different states around the area. Then after I got done working for that company, I went and found a more local job, like, because I wanted to just be local, and come home every night. So I went to another company in the area. Was with that company for about a year, year and a half. Then I left that company to pursue better financial options at another local company, and that's been kind of my process with trucking. It's just been going from one company to the next. After about a year, 2 years, I hop around looking for more money. At different companies, doing the same work. And 90% of the times you're going to the same places. And so I'm just going to different companies, just trying to increase my pay from one company to the next. Then I want to say in 20, so I did that from 2014 or 2015. I was hopping around from company to company trying to get, better pay increases from 2015 all the way to about 2017 or 2018, I should say. In 2018, I then went into truck driving instructing. Became an instructor for a company in the area in St. Louis. It was a company in St. Louis, and they was based in Illinois too. So I worked at that company for a little while as an instructor, and I was the last one to come on. So within that group of people, since I was the last one to come on, I was the first one to go when the student count got low for that particular time of the year. I think it was around winter time where we didn't have enough students, so they kind of started letting some instructors go. I was like one of three who got let go. But the company I worked for, they had a lot of in and out traffic. It was like the main person, I guess the regional guy who was over the yards. I don't know, he was a real difficult person to deal with. And then my boss, I'm just gonna call him Dave, man. He was an awesome dude. Like he was the most stand up dude that I ever met in my life. But so after working with them for a little bit and then getting let go of, I went back into driving local, but then I started doing a tanker run. So I was doing a local tanker route for a company that I worked for, and then I stayed at that company for, I want to say, about 5 years. I worked for that same company. And then I left that company after 5 years to go do another tanker job at another company. And then when I got to this other company that I, started doing a tanker run for, it was local, but like the volume, it was just, I don't know, the guy that I was working for, he worked you. And this company was in St. Louis. But them guys, they was down there, they was running hard. Like they was working real hard, and I kept up with the pace of that process. I just felt like they wanted you to do a lot more work than what you was getting paid to do. Like I went from doing tanker with this company, and that's what I came on to do, was just tanker. So I came on to do a tanker, but then I wound up doing shuttle, shuttle runs, alternating my schedule, alternating my sleep schedule for these guys. Like one day I'll wake up at 7 a.m. to go do, or 6 a.m. to go do my tanker run. Then, the next day I'm waking up at 3 in the morning, to go do a shuttle run. So it was a lot of, hopping around and doing different jobs. And the thing with that guy that I was working for then was the pay. It was the pay difference. I noticed that, I hate to say it, but I noticed that a lot of the other drivers was getting paid way more than I was getting paid. And if we based it off experience, I should have been like right there at the same level as a lot of those other guys. But yeah, that's what ultimately made me start working for them, was that, and the fact that I got into my first bad trucking accident with that company. And like I said, I did a lot of alternating my sleep schedule for them. And one morning I was on 55. I was on 55 south, headed to Carbondale, or Cape Girardeau, with Cape. Anyway, I was on 55 headed south. And it was what, 3:30 in the morning, 3:45, somewhere around there. And it was a couple trucks. They was in front of me. So I was like I was in the fast lane. They was in the right lane, the slow lane. I'm coming up, hauling, trying to get where I'm going. Pass those guys up. So I left them behind a little bit, and we get up to an incline, and my truck was a little bit heavy, so I got over in the slow lane because I seen those guys coming up pretty fast behind me, because my truck couldn't go up the hill as fast. So I get over, those guys come, they get in the right, they get in the left lane, they shoot past me up the hill. And it happens commonly, if you got inclines and stuff with a heavy load and another truck that you passed way back, they ain't got nothing in their truck, they, come back up on you. It happens all the time. No big deal. So when we get over the hill, we going down the hill now. Now I'm flying, and I shoot past those guys again. But this time when I was going past them, I get past the first truck. And then the second truck, I guess he didn't want me to pass him. So he just he put his blinker on, and I'm like right at the tail of his truck, of his trailer, in the fast lane, and he in the right lane. He put his blinker on, and he just started getting over, right on my truck. And I started hitting the horn on him, and he never stopped getting over. He just completely just came over, slapped into the front of my truck, got my front right tire wheel and fender caught in between his trailer, and he completely, like, I don't know, the weight of, he was in a sleeper, he was in a over the road truck. I was in a day cab, so that could have had a lot to do with the weight distribution too, because I guess the front of a day cab is so much lighter, because I'm not saying the guys was empty. I'm pretty sure they had something in their trucks, but the impact of him hitting my truck and it getting caught in the wheel, and we was stuck together, and he shifted completely over into the left lane that I was in, that I was occupying, and then I drifted off into the ditch, but I was still connected to his trailer. So at this point in time, his trailer kind of side swiping, and it took me into the, like, if you're familiar with 55, there's like these metal, rods in the middle console, and then in the middle of the intersection, and then there's these long wires, like these, I guess they like aluminum cast, I don't know what they are, like some kind of wires that shoot along these poles, all the way down. So I hit the metal poles, the wires and stuff, and I guess I got wrapped up in my tire and stuff, and then, like, somehow at that point in time, his trailer disconnected from my truck. But by this time, what I was hauling, which was liquor, like I was carrying a lot of liquid liquor, but it was bottled. So all that stuff kind of hit the front of my hit the front of my trailer, which shifted my truck into a jackknife. And then I jackknifed all up into the weeds and stuff. And if you know 55, I was lucky because there's a lot of cliffs and a lot of different stuff like that, just like hanging off on the right hand side, you know. So I was really lucky that where that accident took place at, that I didn't go down in the ditch and I actually went up a hill and I inclined into a tree, you know, into the tree line. And the crazy part was that it was a tree that came through the window and it was right at the passenger, you know, it was right on my passenger side and like the seat, you know, like hit the seat. So yeah, I know you talk about lucky, like that. Then that's what kind of made me realize that I don't know, trucking was like real dangerous, you know, and it wasn't even from pedestrians. Like it was other truck drivers that was kind of like careless and made it, you know, kind of made it sketchy to keep driving trucks. So after that, you know, that whole spill, like I messed up pretty bad in that accident. My back was messed up. That's when my back pain started. And this was in 2020, the year 2020. That's when my back pain started. Then after that, I was out of work for about a month, 2 months, something like that. And the whole time I'm out of work, man, it's actually that's not even accurate. I wasn't out of work for 2 months. What happened with him, and this is what made me leave that company because right after that accident, they asked me to come right back to work the next day. That's what happened. Those guys asked me to come right back to work, like the either the following day or a couple days after the accident happened. And I told them that I was hurt from that accident. I mean, you look at the truck, you'd be like, man, how did you even walk away from that, you know? But so I had to fake the funk, you know. I went in, my back messed up. You know, I was just like, you know, what can you do? Fuck it, just go to work. You know, it is what it is. So I went to work, you know, and doing everything I needed to do. Then I reached out to my lawyer because I'm like, look, man, I reached out to the, you know, I got my lawyer that I knew already who worked on some stuff for me. I'm like, look, man, I been in a fucking severe accident, like a bad trucking accident, semi to semi, and these people want me to come back to work. I'm like, man, I'm hurting. Like, what do I do? And he like, man, you better take you some time off. You know, he was like, you better take you some time and try to heal yourself. You know, he was like, you can't be just bending over for these companies like that because they don't care, you know. And I thought about it, and I'm like, this dude, you know, he right. I'm like, I got a little bit of savings in my account. I'm gonna go ahead and take some time, man. And that's when I took off work. Like I took off for about, you know, 3 weeks or so, going to physical therapy, stuff like that. Getting all the motion, you know, doing all the details for the accident that happened, trying to get workers' compensation done and all this and that. And ultimately, that's what kind of gave the owner of that company I guess a sour taste about me in his mouth, and then he kind of, you know, started looking at me different. So I started looking at them different after the fact that they asked me to come right back to work a couple of days after a bad accident like that. So I just stopped. I just ultimately quit that job. I was just like, fuck this. This ain't worth it. You know what I'm saying? So I quit that job. Then and again, by you quitting jobs, you can't collect, you know, you can't collect no unemployment benefits or nothing because you voluntarily quit, which I think is fucked up. Like it's a lot of laws that need to change. It's a lot of like stuff that need to happen differently, especially in situations like that where you'll be employed by somebody and they'll be doing stuff to antagonize you or make your life harder. You know what I'm saying? And it should be laws against that, like direct laws. But you know, you have to jump through so many hurdles and hoops to even try to get legal disputes and matters handled. You'd be like, man, fuck it. It ain't even worth that at the end of the day. But ultimately, I left that job. Was living off my savings in my savings account for about like a month or two. So then I had the whole process of talking to the lawyer about the accident, and like I said, still going to physical therapy and all that stuff. And ultimately, what happened with that one was I went back. So I went back and got my old job back that I was at before I went to the other tanker company. So I went back to the company I was at for 5 years, which the owner, the owner of that company, the CEO, that's my guy, man. That's my best friend. Like that's one of my best friends. Like I always have respect for this man, no matter what. Even till this day, I never had a bad interaction with this guy. But ultimately, like he eventually moved up in the company to a higher position than what he was. So he left the facility where I was at, but he was still with the company. But he left and went to a different location. Which I think when that happened, I felt like I ain't had nobody looking out for me at that facility no more because he was the CEO of the facility. I mean, at the trucking company where I was at. So if I had any problems, I could always, and he had an open door policy, just always come talk to me about anything. And he always looked out for me. Even till this day, he still kind of look out for me if I really, really need anything, but I try not to like put my needs and wants on nobody else. That's just the type of person I am. But, so I, went back to that company after after I quit the other tanker company. So I went back to the old company that I was at for 5 years. Got back on my old tanker run that I was doing with them, which was hauling ethanol. And I had a run. I was halfway meeting the guy down he was coming from Texas, Kansas. Was it Texas? It was somewhere in Texas. He was coming from Texas, and then I'll meet him down like in Nillyville, and we'll swap out tankers. Like I give him a full tanker, and then he'd give me the empty tanker that he took from the previous run, and that was my run. It was a clean 8 hour, clean little 8 hour shift, man, and I was like one of the best runs I ever had. And I was doing, like I said, I was doing that same run before I had left the company. And then I came back and did it again for a little bit until we lost that account. I don't know what happened with that, but we ultimately lost that account, I guess, to a better bidder or something. Then after we lost that account, we picked up like a few more other accounts and stuff. And so I was just working there. Just got back to my grind. And then I was there for about 2 years. Worked, so ultimately, like, I think I did about 7 years with that company in total, but I was there for about 2 years. And like I said, that was what, 2020, 2021, 2022. In 2022, which after it was like a whole bunch of crap going on with that company too, because we couldn't keep people in the office. We couldn't keep dispatchers. We couldn't keep management. It was just like a lot of people just coming in and out all the time. And it's been like that the whole time that I started working there. It's just like a constant door that was just like always opening and closing from the management positions to safety people to, whatever. And I had experience. So when I got back, I had a little bit of experience working in the safety department. So I kind of went back into the office again because I went back and my back was kind of messed up from the accident I had at the previous company. So when I went back, I talked to the guy, the CEO at the company that I was at for 5 years. It's like, hey man, I was in a bad accident with this last tanker company. The owner of that company kind of screwed me over, so I'm just like, can I work in the office for a little bit here sometimes and then go drive, some other times when I can. He was like, yeah, you know what I mean? Like I said, he looked out for me all the time. He was like, yeah, go ahead, man. And then, so I was working in the office doing admin, at the trucking company that I was at for 5 years. And just working with those guys in the office, I had a lot of close friends in the office, a lot of them. They really liked me, I liked them too. Then, but like I said, we couldn't keep, it was only certain people that was there all the time. And these people never left the company, and they probably still at that company till this day. But so we didn't have a dispatcher at the time, or we had one. Then we went to like two, and they just came in and quit, came in and quit. But I don't know nothing about the logistics sides of trucking. I'm pretty sure it was a lot of bullshit they was dealing with too. But we couldn't keep a safety guy, and then it was another position that was open, like the main manager position was open. Because like I said, the guy that was there, he got promoted, so that left his old spot vacant for a little bit, and he had to come in and fill in that spot whenever he couldn't find nobody. But but I'm just gonna be honest with you, with that company too. I always noticed it was treatment. It was certain treatment for certain people that got treated better than others, and especially when there was new drivers that came in, and they really wanted to drive on the team. They'd do whatever they had to do to make adjustments for that driver, if you know what I'm saying. So I never got into asking people what they made or what they got paid or nothing like that. But I know it was a disadvantage to certain drivers over others, and I ain't never want to get into that stuff because I noticed that a lot in trucking. Is it's the same scenario. No matter how much experience you got, people gonna treat you the way they want to treat you. So that's just the nature of the beast. You just gotta accept it or don't. If you don't want to do the job, don't do it. And it's just what it is. But so I'm back working with this company in the office sometimes, then getting back in the truck other times. And like I said, I did that for about a year or two. And then so ultimately we got another dispatcher that came in, a new chick. I don't know, right off back, this chick, she just didn't like me. I don't know why, It was just like one of them kind of class things, like I don't know, but my whole thought process was if y'all be such these great workers and y'all coming in from these other places, why y'all didn't stay at the other places? You know what I'm saying? Like that'd be my thing. I used to feel that way about these new people that came in because what I was seeing was a trend. I was like, y'all will be here for a couple years and then y'all will leave. But in that process of new people coming in, new managers, new dispatchers, they'll come in, they'll make everybody who was there quit, and then ultimately they'll quit. And that shit kept bothering me because I started noticing that pattern. And sure as shit, same thing happened with me. The new dispatcher came in. Like I eventually had to stop working in the office because they was like, you can't do this no more, which I was cool with because I was like, by this time I was feeling a little bit better with my back. I was still in pain, but I was feeling a little bit better. So I was like, whatever, So I got out the office, got back in the truck full time, and that's what I was doing. I was just working back in the truck full time. Then I was doing about I couldn't do over the 40 hours that they was asking, so I was doing about 35. I tried to at least get my 35 hours a week, but like I said, I would still consider full time. But being back in the truck, when I got back in full time, I did notice that I started having problems. So then I started as time went along, I slowly started dropping my hours lower and lower and lower and lower because I was having back problems, you know what I'm saying, just from driving the truck all day. So I eventually got down to about 30 hours a week, which I was cool with, you know what I mean? I was perfectly fine with the 30 hours a week. I was making my child support payments. I was, paying all my bills. Everything was cool. It was cool. Then we start picking up other accounts, which that's trucking. You always gonna have new accounts that come in and y'all gonna have to, adjust to new runs and stuff. And then the policies, like I noticed that when new managers come in, new dispatchers come in, they start changing a lot of the policies, you know what I mean? And I'm just like, why? Like I be feeling like if something ain't broke, then why fix it? You know what I'm saying? And I noticed that every time new managers and dispatchers come in, our policies start getting worse and worse and worse and worse. And I'm like, what the fuck is happening? Because y'all coming in changing all this shit and then y'all fucking leave. And then we be stuck. The people who was there got to be stuck trying to pick up the pieces that y'all left behind. And I'm just like, that shit don't make no sense. So what made me see something was wrong with the new dispatcher and the new managers and everything was when I seen all the over the road trucks sitting on the yard. I don't know what happened. I'm not sure what happened, but it was like we had about like, I don't know, we had at least 20 drivers at one point in time, like over the road drivers. And then it was like 20 over the road drivers, then it was like 20 day cab drivers, probably more, I'm not sure. But so one day I go in to work and I noticed that all of the, and we don't never have like full on over the road trucks just sitting on the yard. And I noticed that damn near all the trucks are sitting on the yard. And I'm like, what the fuck happening? You know, and it's around that time where a lot of companies would be, you know, they'll just start shutting down. You know what I mean? Trucking companies just start shutting down. And this is it in the Midwest, there's a lot of that happen. Like it'll be a trucking company there one day and the next day that motherfucker be gone. And then like I look at the news and I'm hearing about all these trucking companies like just shutting down. And it started making me wary, you know what I mean? And I'm reaching out to people. I'm like, hey, you know, like, oh, should I be wary? You know, like, are we going under or some shit like that? And then that's what made me start digging deeper into the company I was working for. Then I realized I don't think that company will ever go under because they are too deep into everything. Like they got real estate, they got warehouses, they got, you know, just they got people renting out buildings. I'm like, oh, this company ain't going nowhere, you know. So they deep in the game. So then I started realizing there was something else going on. But then that's what made me figure out that there was something going on between the drivers and the people in the office. Like it was a disconnect because it was a lot of drivers just walking off. I don't know if they was like, if they just, I don't know what happened. I just know it was a lot of empty trucks on the lot, a lot of over the road trucks. And they couldn't keep no drivers in there. So then it started making it harder for the local drivers because they started asking the local drivers to do over the road type work, you know. And a lot of those guys would do it. A lot of the local guys would do it. They'd just be like, yeah, I don't care, you know. And a lot of those guys, the local guys, they've been there for years, you know. There's a lot of guys there for years and years. Shoot, even before me, like before my little 5 year mark, it was there. Guys there was there when I left. It was guys there when I came back. The same people, you know. And a lot of those guys will pick up the work. Like fuck it, we'll do it, you know. But long story short, on that note, the dispatcher, the new chick, you know, that didn't like me. Maybe it's because I couldn't work like everybody else, and she would ask me to do some off the wall shit, and I'd just be like, hey, back in the day, you know, before I got hurt, when I was with this company at first, yeah, I'll do anything you asking me, but right now I can't do that. Like I'm not about to be killing myself for y'all. I'm not finna do that, you know. And especially year after year after year working there, y'all don't even do pay increases. Like y'all never did pay increases. They'll do a pay increase every 3 years, and it don't be just a pay increase. It'd be like a company increase, like because they got to keep up with other companies around the area. So they try to, and they don't even match other companies. They'll get close, you know. They'll be like $2 short, $3 short of what other companies paying, you know. But the work was easy, you know what I mean? To me, I guess after you have so much experience doing trucking, that shit just become like a second nature. But so in 2020, working for this new dispatch chick, no, not in 2022, working for this new dispatch chick. It was around November, December time frame, and I had my pet peeve is when it's bad outside, don't call me to come in and work. That was my thing. I was like, shit, when it started getting fucked up out here on the roads and shit, I'm like, don't come calling me to come to work because I be feeling like just because y'all make it to work and y'all be in the office all day. You motherfuckers get to sit in the office. Like y'all not out here ripping and running these streets. Like don't do that to us. Like don't call me in. I like fuck that shit, you know. Cause I be like, ain't no load to me. Ain't no load worth losing a truck, a trailer, and a driver. Like there is no load that's worth that. So when it's bad weather, like man, y'all can push that fucking load back or something, you know. Shit, it ain't gonna kill nothing. But so one day I went against my gut, and like I said, that was my pet peeve. Don't call me on bad weather days, snow, ice. Don't do that. Don't do that to me. One day she just kept egging it on. Come, I'm gonna need you to come in. I'm gonna need you to come in. So I like fuck it. I'm gonna come in. You know, I come in. This particular day, it was raining real heavy, like raining real hard. Roads was slick and slippery and shit. It was like 5 in the morning. I'm 55. I mean, not what is that? What the fuck is that? 70. I'm on 70 going west. You know what I'm saying? Like headed out towards St. Peter's and all that shit. St. Charles and shit. Um so 55, I mean 70 headed west. Then I get by the airport. Then a fucking car get on the highway. And you know, I'm just driving, right? Cause right now I'm just trying to get where I'm going. It's raining. I ain't gonna lie, I'm doing about shit 65. You know what I mean? Which to me, it ain't no problem. You know what I'm saying? Especially when it's that early. It really wasn't a lot of people out. I was just cruising. But then it was like I noticed that it was a green fucking Mustang that was like trailing me the whole time. Like they was on the side of me. And then they like I'm driving, then they'll be just following me the whole time. And if I slow down, they'll slow down. If I speed up, they'll speed up. And then I'm like, what the fuck is this person doing? You know what I'm saying? And then I'm trying to get away from this motherfucking person. And for some reason, they keep following me. And in St. Louis, you know, I'm like, man, I don't know what the fuck these people on. You know what I'm saying? So it got me kind of feeling a certain way because I'm like, because like I said, St. Louis, man, these motherfuckers retarded in that city. So I just fall back, you know what I mean? So I just start going about 60. You know, I'm just cruising. And then the dude get in the fast lane and then he just shoots off, all right? And he just kind of jet off a little bit. So I'm like, okay, cool, he gone now. So I start driving again. And sure as shit, I get up the highway and I notice this it's him again. I'm like, what the fuck is going on, bro? This same goddamn green Mustang. And then another car gets on the fucking highway, right? And it was a black SUV. And this time I'm thinking, because I thought that we had cameras in our truck, right? So I'm like, I'm cool. Whatever happened, you know, motherfucker get the shooting, whatever. I'm cool because they get all this shit on camera, you know. So a black SUV get on the highway, and I'm in the middle lane. It's 3 lanes. The green Charger is in the left lane and the fast lane, like pacing me for some reason. I'm in the middle lane, and then a SUV. I left the right lane open. You know, the furthest to the right lane, I left it open. Fucking SUV get on the highway somewhere right after the airport, and they immediately, as soon as they get on the highway, instead of getting in the right lane, the one that was open, this motherfucker, and then, like I said, it's raining. This motherfucker jumped directly in front of my truck and hit their brakes. You know what I'm saying? Like jumped directly in front of my truck and hit their brakes, man. So I had to goddamn. Cause like I said, it's raining. I'm going about 65. This motherfucker jumped directly in front of me, which is something that I would never expected somebody to do. And I didn't want to fucking have no accident. So I ain't want to rear end this person. I ain't want to hit him or nothing. So I just fucking hit my brakes, you know what I'm saying? Laid on the horn. This motherfucker keep, you know, all the shit going on with me. This motherfucker just steady, they just drive off. Like ain't nothing happening. By this time, I'm fucking losing traction in my tires. Like I said, I ain't want to hit them. So I fucking just turned the truck into the median, you know what I mean? Like the middle concrete thing, I just fucking hit it. Cause I was like, man, I'm not finna have it. And then that's when I noticed that's what they was trying to do. They was trying to get a lawsuit. The green person was like, yeah, I got this truck. You know, he probably called somebody. I got this truck on the highway. You know what I mean? It's FW. You know, like they was giving them all the description. Come on, come jump on the highway and get in front of this motherfucker. He moving. Like, this an easy lawsuit. I already People be out here on some bullshit. So instead of hitting the fucking car, cause like I said, this whole time the green Charger is still right there, So I'm assuming that if I would have hit that car, he was gonna pull over and be like, "Yeah, yeah, I seen the whole thing," And I'm hoping karma got to you motherfuckers. By the way, I hope y'all are dead or sick or some shit right now. But so I hit the median, and that kind of fucked my that like when I hit the median, I was hurt like a motherfucker, man, and the cops had to come out. And like I said, all that crazy shit. Was working for that company for, like I said, like about 7 years, man. Never had no accident with that company. That was my first accident with them, following a accident that I had in 2020, and my back was fucked up from the 2020 accident. Now I'm even in worse condition in this accident. When nobody else involved, it was just me, and I'm thinking that we got cameras in the truck. So I'm like, well, cool. The cops gonna get the footage. They're gonna be able to get the license plate of the car that did this shit, and we could go from there. You know what I'm saying? Like we'll find somebody and they'll be at fault for the accident. Nope, never happened, because the whole time they was telling us it was cameras in the trucks, it wasn't no cameras in the trucks. So for years we was going around thinking we had fucking dash cameras and everything like that in our trucks, and we thinking we cleared. Like if we get in an accident, they gonna. So like my company was running a little shady that I was working for at that time. They was doing a little shady shit, thinking they made the drivers feel like we was getting watched. You know what I mean? But in all honesty, it wasn't no cameras ever in the truck. So I was like, well, that's fucked up, And it was a brand new motherfucking truck. I had a brand new 2022 goddamn Mack truck, bro. Brand spanking new truck. And tore that motherfucker up. And like I said, I thought that they had cameras in the truck, because I'm like, for sure somebody gonna be held accountable for what happened when they look at the footage and see that person jumped over right in front of me and hit their brakes, But nope, nothing never happened to that person. Nothing never happened with that case. I just hit a fucking median and was fucked up from that. Had to go do physical therapy, everything like that. And after that, I was just, I couldn't do it no more. You know what I'm saying? So when that happened, that was like November of, what was that? November of, shit, I'm trying to get the date right. I don't want to fuck that up on y'all. I think that was like November of 2024. I believe that happened. Yeah, it was November of 2024 when that happened. Yep. So I was with the company. I came back in 2020. I was with them for, shit, I'm trying to get that timeline right. Yep. Yeah. Time be rolling, man. Can't believe I was there. I was there more than 7 years. Shit, I was there for like 8 years. Damn, I can't believe that. But yeah, I came back there in 2020, and then I was there for 4 years. I'm sorry. I'm like, damn, I was there for 4 motherfucking years, bro. I'm just like, where did time go? Damn. But yeah, I was there for 4 years, because in 2024 is when that accident happened, when I hit that median. It's a lot of time. Damn. But anyway, all right, so I hit that median in November of 2024, and my back was fucked up even worse. And like I said, even through the accident in 2020, I kept working, I kept working. Then in 2024, when that accident happened, I was like, I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna just try to keep working though, and I tried to go back to work, like week, a week later, and that's when I realized my back done. Like I was like, my back done. Like I'm toast. Like I can't even do the same fucking job I was doing. It was hard for me to get up and down out the truck. It was hard for me to crank up the dolly legs and shit like that. Cause when you got them heavy loads and shit, that should be heavy when you got to crank them dolly legs. If somebody dropped the trailer wrong, normally if you drop the trailer right, you can let your airbags down, bag under it, let your airbags up, and it lift the whole thing up, and you just crank it up and roll. But man, like I don't know. I just knew I was fucked up after that accident. But so after that, it was 2024 November. I tried to go to work for a couple months, and then I realized I was like, I can't do this no more. And again, it was me self-terminating myself instead of letting the job fire me so I can receive benefits of any kind. I just was like, I can't, I wrote a letter and it was like, look, man, like I know, it ain't nothing against nobody in the office, nothing against nobody here. I just know I can't physically do this job no more. Like my back is messed up. So I don't want to keep being a burden and, occupying a seat that somebody else can be driving. Like y'all can have another full-time driver and not be putting up with my shit. Cause I'm like, I can't even work. Cause at this point in time, the month after the accident happened in 2024, when I came back those couple months, man, I was doing like 15 hours. You know what I'm saying? Like I was working 15 hours a week because I couldn't do no more than that. So it got to the point where I was just like, right now, I'm just taking up space. So I just got out the truck because I feel like I wasn't making the company no money. And I told the main owner that a long time ago. I was like, man, the day I stop making y'all money is the day I just quit, and I stopped coming in and working here. And I sure as shit kept my word because I knew after that accident and I was fucked up like that, ain't no way in hell I was going to be able to keep working there. So, and that was November, December, January, February. So 3 months later, February 2nd, is when that was my last day of working as a truck driver. February 2nd, 2025. I was like, I can't do this no more. So I stopped truck driving. Had a nice amount of money in my savings account. So I paid all my child support up for about like I don't know, I paid all my child support up for about like 4 months, 4 or 5 months. And I figured if I did that and then I get right on filing a disability claim, then everything should kind of line up before I start getting in arrears too bad. You know what I'm saying? Because I was in arrears before because of one of my baby mamas that did some crazy shit, lied about some shit, and then me finding out state law, which I'm saying a lot of these laws need to change. I'm doing for my kids, and then they turn around and tell me that if it's not through court order, or if it's not through court order, or you ain't got it coming straight through the child support system, which they never told us when we went to court. And if you don't do it through the child support system, like I was supposed to know this shit, then everything that you do for those kids is considered a gift. So even if you made all your payments for years and the court, you didn't go through child support for those payments, yeah, and the lady want to be a dick, she can be like, oh no, all of them, it was a gift, and they'll put you in the rear for how much ever you was paying, and whatever you paid, it don't even matter, they just put you in the rear. So they put me in, this is prior to me catching it back up, but they put me in the rear for my baby mama for $15,000, and I was paying child support the whole time, just not through child support system. So yeah, fellas, y'all gotta be careful out here, man. Whoever watched this, I'm just saying, and I don't want to go viral for this shit. Like this is some stupid ass shit to be going viral for, literally. But like I said, I don't know what to do right now. I'm sitting here with all this goddamn debt. I'm sitting here going through all this shit with disability, and basically, I just wanted to get on here and kind of vent, but not really vent because I'm looking for solutions too. I'm just looking for any legal advice that I can get. I got a lawyer. I'm leaving names and everything out of this whole thing because I don't want to have, I don't want to be no legal complications or nothing. Because like I said, there's some bullshit to go viral for. I'm just trying to make aware of my situation, let y'all know in detail what happened, what led to what, my background, my work, and what's going on with disability, the disability process, the disability administration, child support services. Like, I don't know, it's just a big ass gaggle fuck. Personally, not only child support, but then also medical, Medicaid, shit like that. Because right now, I've been on Medicaid for a while. Even when I was working, I would think I was like, because I was like not making enough as to be considered a full-time driver. I had to get Medicaid to cover my medical expenses. So I went through the what do you call it? The health something. It's somewhere, the health market or something. And I had a good plan. Like right before I quit working, I had a good plan. It was like $9 a month. They'd cover everything. You know what I'm saying? And this when I was working. It was like through the health market. But then when I stopped working, I guess I got qualified for Medicaid. They sent me a letter and was like, "Hey, you qualify for Medicaid." Then I was like, "Fuck it," because I ain't finna keep paying $9, so I'm gonna get back on Medicaid. And I got back on Medicaid, and they was covering everything, all my physical therapy. They was covering my pain management appointments. They was covering everything, right? And then Trump get in office, and then and it is what it is. President, whatever. I don't fuck it. I don't care. You're president. I don't give a fuck. But Trump get in office, and they start making cuts to everything. Everything start changing. SNAP benefits, everything. Then they start coming out with all these laws. You got to do this. You got to do this. You got to do this to get anything, any kind of help coming from a motherfucker who done worked and been slaving for the system. You know what I'm saying? This whole time since, like I said, since I was 14, working. Serving this country, doing, just all kind of bullshit, bro. Just never catching a break, man. And like I said, now I'm sitting here looking at all this shit, looking at all these papers that I just recently got from disability. And the crazy thing is, everything came at the exact same time. Got a paper from child support about one of my sons that wasn't on child support, but since I haven't been working in over a year, I told my baby mom to go ahead and put me on child support because I'm going through this disability process, and I feel like it's unfair for my other children to have a black and white paper trail showing that if I get disability, that they'll get something, but the son that I have that's not on child support, he just don't exist. And I'm like, I can't have that happen. So I told her to put me on child support, and I'm leaving it up to her. If she want to go back and say he haven't gave me anything for the past year, that's completely on her. That's her decision, And I mean, I still try to do what I can, but like I said, right now I'm in so much debt. There's nothing that I can do. And like I said, there need to be laws that kind of help, and I'm looking at, I didn't researched, I hope this, yeah. I'm sorry to be ranting for over an hour. I don't even know if they're going to let me upload this. I don't even know. But there need to be some kind of laws that that changes everything. But I think I'm going to upload this, and then I'm going to upload a part 2 because I don't want to, this is going to be too long. So I'm going to just stop this one here, and then I'll get into all the details of everything that I got going on, kind of show you everything, you kind of ask some questions, and I'm gonna leave I'm gonna leave the comment section open, or so you can leave a comment down and just kind of fill me in over if you've been through something like this, if you know somebody who's going through something like this, and if there's anything legally that you can do and just kind of give your boy some advice. That's all I'm looking for, man. All right.